This is definitely going to be one of those things that I wish I could talk to the students about, but I'm probably not going to be able to talk to them about it because some of them are young, even though the time to get at them with this type of stuff is when you're young. A lot of people have probably heard by now about Kenneka L. Jenkins, 19 years old. She was at a party at a hotel, and she was found dead inside of an industrial walk-in freezer. And where we need to know, where we need to draw from this as martial artists, is there's going to be things that happen in this world that your technique can't protect you from. Now, I'm not saying that she is a martial artist or not. I honestly don't know. But I want, especially you young martial artists out there, to know that what happened to her can happen to you. Don't think because you nice with your hands or your feet and you can throw elbows and you can choke people out that something like that can't happen to you. Yes, it can, because alcohol messes up your technique. See, when you're out of your mind, you can't use the martial arts because you need your mind in order to be able to use your techniques. Now, some people will say that's why they don't work. No. Guns work, and if you're too high, you can't shoot straight. Okay? Knives work, and if you're too high or drunk, you can't stab anybody. You can't. So, you can't go out and get so inebriated that you end up being a danger to yourself. Now, right now, everybody pretty much thinks that she was murdered. But the police are trying to say that it is possible that it was an accident. I don't know which one was which, but I can tell you that either one is possible if you drink too much. And it's because you got 50 black belts with 85 stripes on them. You can still let yourself get so drunk that you can't defend yourself if you need to. Or you could get so drunk that you could fall down and hit your head and die. You can get drunk or high to the point where your basic reflexes don't even work anymore. And if some of the stuff that some of the other commentators have said on YouTube is true, she may have very well been, I'll say, sexually assaulted while she was inebriated. How are you going to fight back against sexual assault if you're too high and or drunk to protect yourself? Some people have speculated that she was set up by friends. So if you're going out getting that kind of drunk with people who you think are your friends and they're not, and they end up hurting you, or worse, even if they didn't hurt her, it sounds like she may have been neglected to the point that they didn't see that she couldn't take care of herself. So if you're really super, super high or intoxicated, inebriated, and they're intoxicated, inebriated, they may not be thinking about you. You have to be the last line of defense for you. Okay? Taekwondo is not your last line of defense. Judo is not your last line of defense. Kyusho Jitsu is not your last line of defense. Western boxing is not your last line of defense. Whatever you study is not your last line of defense. You are your last line of defense. Now, please don't just reject what I'm saying and go, oh, you're old, whatever. Oh, like you never did anything. Yes, I have done things, and it was stupid for me to do them. That's why I'm telling you. It's stupid for me to do them. You know, if I were, this is what gets me about a lot of young people, right? And we did the same thing when we were young, and it was dumb then. You know, if I were an alcoholic, and I told you not to drink alcohol, because it can ruin your life, would you sit up there and go, well, you drank alcohol, so I should drink alcohol, even though it ruins your life? You can't tell me not to become an alcoholic when you were an alcoholic. No, that means I'm the person who's ultimately qualified to tell you not to do that. Okay? Take advice from people who've made some of these same mistakes, or worse yet, has seen some of these mistakes made. Because I remember when I must have been about 15 or 16, something like that, when a girl was super duper she was, I don't know what she was taking, because I was square. But I saved her life because she tried to jump off a balcony. She tried to jump off the balcony and she would have landed. I think we were 3 stories up, and she would have landed on a car. Now, some people say, oh, man, she wouldn't have died. But I ain't take that chance. I pulled her off the rail, I think it was twice. I pulled her off the rail twice. And then I acted like I was dancing with her for a while because she was so tore up. She didn't know what was going on. She didn't even remember the next day trying to kill herself. I guess she thought she could fly or something like that. Now, what's her name? Could have gotten just that young lady in Chicago. She could have gotten just that high. And only thing is, you know, we were a bunch of kids. We were supposed to be at a youth function where that's not supposed to happen. But these were all adults. Even though she's a teenager, Kenneka L. Jenkins, she was around a bunch of other people who were high too. If they're drunk and you drunk, they all up into their drink, but you're having too much of a reaction to your drink thing, that could be you going over the edge of the balcony and dying. And there's nobody sober there to stop you or catch you. And again, remember, the cops were also saying one theory is that she actually stumbled into that. I don't believe it, but she actually stumbled into that freezer and opened the freezer up and fell in there and froze to death. So there are things that your martial arts training cannot protect you from. They cannot protect you from your own bad decisions. And probably not today, but tomorrow I'm going to do another video about how a martial artist's bad decision got him killed. And this is not a new issue. This video has been floating around, I think, since the 90s. But his bad decision got him killed. It got him shot in the head because he made a terrible decision. So, rest in peace to Kenneka L. Jenkins. I'm not trying to belittle her. It's not that I don't feel bad for her. I do. And what I would like to do, just like I'm going to talk about it with my own children, I really would like to be able to talk about this with the children who are in my community center class. But I can't. Somebody was probably going to be mad. They're going to feel like, no, I don't want my children knowing about this stuff. But see, this is the thing. When they're old, a lot of times when they're really old enough for you to talk up to them about some things, some kids are not receptive. They tune you out. Here's a parenting tip, and I have not always been good at this either myself. But if you have kids, you have to talk to them about the dangers of a phase, I would say 1 phase beforehand. Now, for example, if you tell a 2-year-old don't drink and drive, they're just going to go, get? So that's not cool. But if you talk to like a 6 to 12-year-old about not drinking and driving, they might hear you. If you wait until you give them the car keys and tell them not to drink and drive, they may be too proud or listening to their friends and under the influence of their own hormones to hear you. So you got to tell them about it then. If you wait until they're 25 years old and getting ready to marry the roughneck convict drug dealer, they might be too in love to hear you. But if you tell them about it when they 14, 15, 16, 17, that's assuming they haven't already started dating the convicts and drug dealers. If you tell them about it then, by the time they're older, they'll hear it. See, that's where like the fairy tales and Aesop fables things come in handy. I'm going to talk about that and I'm going to close. One of the best mentors I ever had in my life, he's one of my greatest mentors of all time. He used to live across from me in my grandmother's house. His name was Roderick Dyson. People call him Fox because they said he was so smart and so wise. And he was. He used to tell me these weird, I thought they were weird stories. It was like, kind of like he was pretty much like black people's Buddha proverbs. He used to tell me all this stuff. I ain't understand a word that man was saying, but I was old enough to remember the stories. And then when I got older, when stuff would happen, like, oh, That's what fucked up. Oh man, I'm getting ready to make that mistake. Ooh. And he saved me. He saved me. So that's what you got to do. So I'm going to challenge any parents out there to use this tragedy to try to be a teaching point to your kids. And if any martial artist instructors out there, if you can find a way to do it, let's warn our students about the dangers of getting too intoxicated. I don't know how you're going to do it. Well, if they are teenagers, then you could just tell them. And if they are adults, you can just tell them. But the little itty bitty ones, that I'm not going to be allowed to tell them about this. The best I can do is hope they stumble across this video. And they'll see Mr. Cecil talking. And then they can ask their parents what Mr. Cecil's talking about. But, I mean, the little ones probably aren't right now. They're probably playing. What's the popular kids' games now? Pokemon or something? They're probably playing Pokemon or something. So maybe they need to have Bulbasaur drink too much. I don't know. Drunkachew? I don't know. Maybe need to do something like that. So, rest in peace, Miss Jenkins. I hope they find, if there are other people responsible for her death, I hope they're brought to justice. And if this is just a tragic accident, I hope it doesn't happen to anybody else. Peace.